Story 1. My wife gave birth to a black baby that clearly isn't mine, and I'm divorcing her. But I'm worried about the relationship between my two kids and their new half-sister. A month ago, my wife gave birth to a baby girl who is black. Both of us are white, and it became clear that the baby was the result of a one-night stand she had last year. I've begun divorce proceedings, although we are still living together for the time being. Between our two boys, who are 2 and 4, I've had paternity tests for them, and they came back positive, the infant daughter, and the fact that my wife lost her job due to COVID. We found it necessary to coexist as amicably as possible until the divorce is finalized. I have no negative feelings towards the baby, but I've been disturbed by some of the comments I've heard from family, friends, coworkers, and others. A lot of people seem overly focused on the fact that the baby is black, rather than the fact that my wife cheated on me. What really concerns me, though, is the potential for my two sons to internalize these harmful ideas. They're too young to fully grasp what's going on right now, but as they get older, I'm worried they might come to resent their half-sister for breaking up their parents' marriage. Worse, they could potentially develop racist views, influenced by the racist comments and narratives that are surrounding this situation. I'm looking for advice on how to guide my sons away from that kind of thinking. It doesn't help that we live in a mostly white suburb, with very few black people, and their half-sister is the only black person they've really been exposed to. Any suggestions on how I can help prevent this kind of resentment from forming and ensure my kids grow up with an open mind and heart? Comment 1. I'm no parent, but I think telling the boys to love their sister no matter what would do the situation some good. Or at least to keep that message consistent through their upbringing. Comment 2. I'll tell you what my dad did, and you can use the info as you will. He invited my little brother, who was not his child, along with me to stay during the weekend. My brother wasn't the product of infidelity or anything. He's just my half-brother, my stepdad's son. But I didn't know for a while because my dad brought him along to the museums and the water parks and the movies, etc. Pretty much any time I was at his place, my little brother was too, and he never complained. He loved my brother. So that's an option. You can have the baby come with your sons occasionally, make sure they're treating her okay, and be an example for his to treat their sister. Comment 3. I've been disgusted by some of the comments I've heard from family members, friends, coworkers, and others, all who seem to be fixated on the racial angle of this. As if the most salient part of this isn't that my wife cheated, but that she cheated with a black man and that the baby is black. Look these people straight in the eye and ask them if they would have been okay with your wife's cheating if she had slept with a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white man. Also, if you can at all avoid it, don't leave your kids alone with any of these people. You'll need to be there to tell them, stop talking about my kid's sister like that. Story 2. Mike, 23F, husband, 24M, wants me to get rid of my cats, and I feel like I'm losing my mind over it. My husband was recently accepted into medical school, which is incredibly exciting. He got accepted in the first round of applications, and I am so proud of him. But this also means a huge change for us. We're moving 8 hours away from our home state. That would be tough enough on its own, but to top it off, we just found out that I'm pregnant with our first child, and I'm due in September. To say I'm overwhelmed would be an understatement. This wasn't exactly the timing we had planned for a baby, especially with med school starting, and I feel like my whole life is up in the air right now. There are so many exciting things happening, but it's stressing me out beyond belief. I've been holding on to one thing throughout all of this, the fact that, despite having to move to a new city and being a first-time mom, I would still have my 2 cats. These cats mean the world to me. I've had them since they were 8 weeks old, after rescuing them from a bag left on the side of the road. They've been my rock during the tough college years when my husband and I were long-distance dating, and they've been a constant source of comfort ever since. But then, yesterday, my husband took me for a drive and told me that his dad had called to talk to him, and his dad thinks we should get rid of the cats. He says it will be too much to handle during the first year of med school. And my husband agrees with him. I was completely blindsided. I started crying immediately, partly because I'm pregnant and hormonal, but also because these cats are my babies. I've raised them, loved them, and they've been there for me when I felt alone. And now, I feel like I'm being asked to give up a piece of myself. I spent the whole day crying because it doesn't feel like I have a choice. My husband already has someone lined up to take them, and he's totally on board with his dad's reasoning. I was inconsolable, so he called his dad to talk to me, but it only made things worse. His dad said, "I know it's hard, but it's for the best. You need to be focusing on what's best for husband and the baby, but no one is asking what's best for me. I'm about to be a mom in a new city, away from all my friends and family. I'm putting my career on hold because of this unexpected pregnancy, and I already feel like I'm losing my identity. Half of my friends and family already call me mama instead of my actual name, and it's like I'm fading away. I'm still here. I'm still me, and I feel like I'm slowly losing that. It doesn't feel fair to be asked to give up my cats, too, when I'm already sacrificing so much." I told my husband how I felt, but he just said I was being selfish. I know this is a huge moment for him, and I know I should support him, but I can't help feeling this way. Now his entire family is telling me that the cats are a burden and that I need to get rid of them. I don't know how to make him understand that this is really hurting me. I don't know how to explain that this feels like a loss I'm not ready to face. How do I make him see how much this is tearing me apart? How do I help him understand that I'm not okay with losing the cats, too? Comment 1. There are two people in your relationship, neither of which is his dad. He doesn't get a vote. Comment 2. Firstly, they're your cats. He doesn't get to make a unilateral decision like this. This kind of thing requires 2 yes. Otherwise, it's a no. And they are your cats. Only you can decide what to do with them unless they are causing harm in the household or to people, which they aren't. You aren't selfish. And if your husband will not budge and makes decisions like this, girl, you need to really seek out help from outside sources, your friends and family and such. You need support. And you need to reevaluate your partnership and what partnership means to you. Comment 3. I'd say no, you're not giving up the cats. This wasn't a decision you two had together. It was made just by him. Are the cats even that much of added stress for him? Or why does he, or his dad, all of a sudden think they'd be too much? Story 3. Mike, 29F. Reluctance to get a total hysterectomy makes my husband, 31M, question my child-free state. I've always been very clear about my decision to be child-free. I've never wanted children, and I've been very firm in that choice. To add to that, I also have endometriosis. I was diagnosed with it at 16 after having laparoscopic surgery, but unfortunately, the tissue couldn't be removed because it was too close to my arteries. So, I've been managing it with birth control ever since, which has worked fine for me because I never planned on having kids anyway. My husband is also firmly child-free and has been incredibly supportive of my journey with endometriosis. Over the years, I've tried so many different forms of birth control. I've used multiple types of pills, the patch, the depot shot, Nexplanon, and most recently, the IUD. The pills never really worked well for my symptoms, and the few that did were only effective for a year or two before the pain and symptoms returned. The same thing happened with every method I tried after that. The IUD, which worked for a couple of years, is now failing as well. I've been cramping every day, and it's starting to seriously affect my quality of life. Recently, I moved to a new city and had to find a new gynecologist. I made sure to send over all my medical records about my endometriosis and explained everything I've been through. During my exam, the new gynecologist brought up the possibility of a total hysterectomy, including the removal of my cervix, uterus, and ovaries. I wasn't expecting that suggestion at all. When I got home, I told my husband about the discussion, and I was taken aback by how upset he was. He's now convinced that because I didn't immediately jump at the idea of a hysterectomy, it means I secretly want children and that I'm going to trap him into having a baby. That couldn't be further from the truth. I've been firm in my commitment to birth control, and if there's ever been a slip-up, I've always insisted on using a condom. Pregnancy is honestly one of my worst nightmares, and I've always been clear about that. The reason I'm hesitant about the hysterectomy has nothing to do with wanting children. It's because I'm not sure I'm mentally prepared for such a huge surgery. While it's a minimally invasive procedure with keyhole surgery, The recovery is still significant, and I'm not sure I'm in the right place to handle that right now. What makes it even harder for me to consider is the potential need to remove my ovaries. I've heard that removing them would mean I'd need to rely on hormone replacement therapy, HRT, for the rest of my life, which is something I'm really reluctant to do. But I also need my ovaries removed because my endometriosis has spread beyond my uterus. It's on my bowels and has caused scarring that can't be removed. I've been told that keeping my ovaries might cause flare-ups in those areas, and that's something I need to consider. Despite explaining all of this, my husband continues to believe that my reluctance to immediately say yes means I'm not really committed to being child-free. I've tried explaining that this isn't like a vasectomy. It's a much bigger decision with a longer recovery and more long-term consequences. I've spoken to others about it, and while they don't think I'm trying to baby trap him, they do think my hesitation shows I might not be as sure about not having kids as I claim to be. I just want him to understand that my uncertainty around the hysterectomy has nothing to do with a desire for children. How can I make him see that my reluctance is about the surgery itself and the emotional and physical toll it could take on me, not about changing my stance on having kids? Comment 1. He thinks because I don't instantly want to do the surgery, I secretly want kids and am going to trap him with a baby. What? He thinks you're going to baby trap him after years of diligent birth control and consistent fear of pregnancy because you don't want to undergo a major surgery with lifelong ramifications? Why did he marry you if he trusts you so little? I assume he's gotten a vasectomy if this is his position, so what is he even worried about? I don't even know how to advise you to explain it because his assertion is so bizarre and unreasonable that it seems immune to actual reason. Either he trusts that you have been honest all these years and are still being honest about your stance on kids, or he thinks you're a liar. If he thinks you're a liar, he shouldn't be married to you. Comment 2. Menopause isn't a fun trip to go on, especially when you're just hitting your 30s. That alone is a valid reason to hesitate. Comment 3. He could easily resolve his worries with a vasectomy. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you in the next video.